Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm Keith Wallace. This is Alana Zerbe, and we are the After Wine School podcast. And today we're going to talk about peace on earth. No, we're going to just talk about restaurant wine lists. Every little detail, all of it.
I learned a lot, Keith, in preparing for this episode with you.
Oh,
Really,
fantastic.
I hope what listeners glean from this is an understanding of the restaurant ecosystem and who the players are, where things can go wrong, and then ultimately we're going to end with some great advice about how to navigate any type of restaurant wine list.
Yeah, we're just pitting this on restaurant wine lists, but then when we start talking about this, it's going to get real interesting. It's going to get spicy. It's getting spicy
stories
today. Oh yeah, and we have the receipts too, as they say. Are we spilling the tea today?
We're spilling tea.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Keith. So roll out for us the who, what, when, where, why, all of it.
Oh, okay.
About putting together a wine list.
Okay.
Who's the main actor? What are they doing in their day-to-day?
All right, that's the best place to start, actually. Like, let's just do the day-to-day of a sommelier. So your day starts off, you're probably in jeans and a t-shirt because you're coming in, you worked until 10, maybe even 2 o'clock in the morning the night before, so you're coming in, maybe you're coming in around 1 or 2-ish, maybe earlier, but probably around that, and you're going to start doing inventory. But primarily, what you're going to be doing is, let's say that your day is, you're planning for your next wine list. And so you're going to start having meetings with wine reps. You're just going to be in the back room, maybe at the bar. Each person who's coming in is a wine rep. They represent a specific distributor. They have their own wineries and wines that they represent, hence wine rep. And they're going to come in and they're going to give you a portfolio tasting. They're like, oh, hey, here's this wine. Here's a series of wines we think would be really good for your restaurant. And it might be 2 or 3, maybe 10, maybe 20 wines. And you're going to try them. And you'll be, hey, thank you very much. That was great. What's the price on this? What's the markup on this? And what can I do per bottle or per glass on this? And they're going to ask a lot of questions.
The sommelier
Is asking
to the rep.
They're trying to figure out, like, will this work on my wine list? And really about, like, pricing. So, because, it's a sales environment and they're the client. And then the next rep will come in and do the same thing. Now, it's a different rep from a different distributor with a different portfolio of wines, and they're going to show you theirs. You might have 2 or 3 in a day. Now, there are national companies. Mostly there's just regional or even like really like small, like citywide distributors. So the distributors, they're the ones, they have the contracts with wineries around whoever, right? They'll have wineries from Italy and France, and they have this portfolio. And in most states, they have an exclusive contract. So, like, let's just say something that everyone knows. Like, what if you want Opus 1 on your list?
Right.
There's going to be one distributor in your city, and the city's broken up into different sectors usually. So there'll be one wine rep that you'll talk to. And that's the only person who'll have that. Now, sure, if you're a distributor and you have like a really great list that everyone wants your wines, then you have a lot of power. But for the most part, distributors actually have a lot of really obscure wines that no one's ever heard of because they think that these are the best wines, or they're the best wines that they can get an exclusive contract with in your neck of the woods.
And keep in mind the role of the distributor, which is something that is rather unique in the United States.
Oh, yes.
Is a result of prohibition. So we talk about that, the 3-tier system.
Oh, we did, yes.
In our episode.
Yep.
So one of the goals of this system is to maintain or limit the powers of a retail body, whether it's a restaurant or a wine shop, limit their ability to have any vertical integration.
Oh, absolutely. Like, for instance, a restaurant just can't like call up a winery in California and say, I want your wines. Send them to me. Because that's actually in France, they can do that. And a lot of other places you can do that. And that's one layer more cut away. Of course, having a distributor layer costs more money, obviously. Their job is in the name.
And
they
let me caveat, I understand this goes state by state, and there are always exceptions.
Oh, yes.
before lawyers in the audience, because there's always a lawyer in the audience.
Well, in any wine
lets me-
podcast.
yeah, exactly. Lets me know that I'm wrong about that. I understand things vary by jurisdiction.
And yet, state by state, sometimes even city by city. So that's what they're doing. But what else do you want to know about
So
this?
the ultimate goal is to put together the best wine list
Absolutely.
for the restaurant. You want it to be effective in terms of price.
Yeah.
You want it to, of course, pair with the food.
Oh, yeah.
You want it to meet the expectations of your patrons. So could you talk about that meeting where they're actually putting the list together? Like, what's the ideal scenario? What would that look like under the best circumstances?
Let's just say you're the somm, or you're the person putting the list together. You have a couple different clients. Yes. You have your customers, right? The people coming into the restaurant ordering wine. That's one of the parties involved. But you also have the chef, because they're gonna have, they always want input into it as well. Not always the best input, but they're definitely going to have it. And then the most important client of all, which is the restaurateur. Like, they have specific ideas. So you may want to put in a couple of natural wines, but they want really to have only Barolos or something. So they're going to confine you. Like, they're going to constrict. These are the constrictions you have. And so to put a really good wine list together, you want it to fit. So one, it has to fit the food. And that's not always easy, especially in this day and age. If you're dealing with something that's like French or Italian, that's easy. But what if you actually are introducing some sort of Asian influences, especially with spice? Heat changes dramatically. What you can and can't do. Whatever it's a vegetarian restaurant, that's got me completely whole different set. What kind of bitter compounds? Like, what are they doing? What does the chef do? That's really how much acid is in the food. It used to be every single chef would add salt and butter in the finish, and that would just make everything easy, because salt, fat, and sweet actually helps universalize wine lists, but that's not usually what happens anymore. There's a lot more acid in food these days. So that changes. So there's that part. But there's also the economics of this, a wine list that actually spreads economically, because we all know there are people who want to just order off the top of the list and have that, right? You have that kind of customer, but you also have a customer who's coming in and it's a first date, or they're young, they're in their 20s, early 30s. This is a big splurge, and you want to make sure you can hit them too. And sometimes it's just like a night out, like it's a Wednesday night for somebody. So you have to be confident in your price portfolio as well, that you can hit everybody, but you're also going to have to hit the house needs as well. And so it's cuisine, it's style, but it's also what you want. And like, as a somm, you're having all these tastings with these wine wraps, and like, what is the thing that you want your staff to be talking about? What are you excited about? To be honest, like if I was running a wine list like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, more than likely I had a lot of Sicilian wines on that list. Now, maybe I have more Canary Island wines on that list. Right? What are the things that are interesting me that I want to talk about? Also, that I want to, share. So what is that? So there's that piece too. They're all competing aims. And at the end of the day, though, the wine list has to be able to pay for its existence. Yeah.
But, okay, so the ideal scenario is you have a somm who's conversant in what the chef wants, what the client wants, what they want, and they have a rep who is able to meet them and then also give them a nice variety of options.
Absolutely. And that relationship is key. Once you have that relationship, it's like the most important relationship for a somm, because it's not just that you buy the wine, but that you trust that rep, that they're going to one that's going to be the same vintage, or that they can have the wine and they can get it to you in time, that they're not going to like run out of inventory on you, or that somebody else, an even more important restaurant than yours, actually will get that wine. So there's a lot of trust involved as well. It's the logistics of it. Can that person, I love this wine, but can they get this to me consistently? And hopefully, like the best restaurants don't just have one relationship like that. Like, they'll have like 2 or 3, so that you have you have your team of wine reps, and then you have this large portfolio of wines that you can select from within that. Yeah, that's...
Oh, and something I want to mention also, the rep often becomes the de facto wine educator. A som has
yes.
a lot going on. You're doing inventory, you're taking phone calls, you're staffing, working on menu prep with the chef, the day to day. So that rep, when they come in with their samples,
Oh, yeah.
that's often the time that the staff gathers around.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a mini wine education.
Oh, it's even bigger than that oftentimes, because this is one of the ways you can offer, right, to outsource educating the staff. Sometimes it will be just that informal thing. Usually they'll set a time. As a wine rep, there's a lot of benefit to this, because guess whose wine you're teaching the staff on? Your own wines. So that are on their list, and you're telling them how amazing these specific wines are. I'm pointing out that these are the best wines on their list. This is how they taste, this is how they talk about it, why these are important. Yeah. So see how this works. And it's also why, as a wine educator, running the wine school, we do not educate restaurant people at the restaurants themselves at all. Why hire me to do that when you can get that for free?
And wine education classes that are being offered by restaurants are oftentimes taught
Oh, yes.
by reps.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and this is a big scam. You're right. Oh, silly, because this is common. What they started to do, and this is it's been going on for 10 years now, is that so a restaurant, wait a minute, I can have you do this for my customers as well, and I can charge for this. So, now for the wine rep, it's great because now you have access, right? Now you're not only you're going directly to the customer. The distributor has a lot of power, and they can have a lot of power within these situations, right? So here, my relationship, as I'm the wine rep to the sommelier, mine is actually to convince you to buy my wines. What if I just say, here, I'm just going to drop these unopened bottles for you to try if you like. So just let me know, right? Is that a gift? Yeah. What if the som says, hey, I want this. We're going to buy 10 cases. If you don't mind giving me a free 11th wine and put it in my car. Has this happened? Absolutely. What if you actually have a contest saying, oh, hey, you sell this one wine of mine, right? And whichever of your servers sells the most, they get a $500 gift certificate or a trip or a rare bottle of wine. Yeah, that's legal, usually. But, that's a little bribery-ish. What if someone comes flat out and says, I'll take your wines. I'm going to take 5 of your wines, different wines. I'm going to take 10 cases of each, but I want $10 back for each bottle I sell. Is that legal? No, that's bribery, unless you're actually in Jersey, and that's just called what's technically called a rep. That is legal. So in certain states like Jersey, oh yeah, things that would be felonies in others are perfectly legal. And so you have a whole lot of you'll get offered trips. A distributor will oftentimes offer you a trip around, it might be an educational trip so that I have buddies who've gone on these. They're the wine buyers of restaurants, it's wine shops, and yeah, they'll get a trip, all expense paid to Australia or maybe France. And yeah, it's first class the whole way. It's amazing. And you can tell how valuable somebody is by how many times they get offered these trips a year. I remember and I've been on the other side of that too. I was co-owner of a distributor, and we had a zero graft policy because there's only 2 of us, and we would not do any of that work. And that was tough.
Yeah, so in looking into this, I did come across a really interesting case from 2017. It actually involved one of the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board officials.
Oh, yeah.
Ultimately pled guilty to fraud. Okay, so that's the relationship, some of the pitfalls of the relationship. Let's talk about the list itself, the 4 corners of our wine list.
Okay.
So what are some of the economic considerations here?
At the end of the day, a wine list, its function is to pay rent. And what do I mean by that? So you calculate what your rent is, every single bill you have, every single bit of insurance, every single maintenance person, every employee cost, all of it all together. And then you have this big number. It's a scary number. So you calculate how many seats do you have and what's the load, the cost. That's how much you have to make on that seat. And so you have to break that down. How much of that is going to be, when someone sits in that seat, how much are they going to pay for food, right? What's that dinner going to cost? What are their cocktails going to cost? How many people are going to buy wine? And then you have that, okay, how much of the wine is a portion to that? And now there's your number.
And when you bring wine in, there are attendant costs to
Oh my
bring wine
God.
in. So
Oh
of
my
course,
God.
storage goes without
Oh, yeah.
saying. Storage becomes
It's huge.
huge.
Oh, it's huge because now you have a whole section more than alcohol, because alcohol small. It's concentrated. Like you have much less space needed. Wine, massive inventory problems.
I was just going to say, you
Yeah.
taught me the word shrinkage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Shrinkage in terms of inventory.
Yeah.
People.
And yes, not Ozempic or yeah.
But no, shrinkage, literally,
Yeah.
wine bottles have this weird tendency to grow legs.
Oh my God,
And
yes.
we've even seen it at the wine school.
Yeah.
It's very surprising, but whenever you have alcohol in general, but particularly wine, there will be theft. Bottles will go missing.
And sometimes it's not even intentional. In a restaurant, it's always chaos during service.
But also when you
Yeah.
have wine, you have breakage.
Yes. Oh,
you
yes.
have spoiled wine. Now,
Oh, yes.
the distributor will cover some of those things, especially spoiled wine. If it's corked or otherwise faulty, they can take that back to the winery and get that comped.
Absolutely. The winery is obliged to cover those costs. So the distributor doesn't mind. So, like, yeah, if a wine is corked, or even if you drop it, like it breaks, as long as you have the bottle itself, and, it's not egregious, like you do so much of this, that seems like you're scamming them. But yeah, no, you can. Yeah, and that'll just get taken off of the bill of lading from the winery itself. And yeah, that happens all the time. Shrinkage, though, that's on you because you don't have a bottle to show for it afterwards.
Well, let's
Yeah.
turn to a consumer walks into a restaurant and are
Yes.
presented the restaurant wine list.
Yeah.
We've kind of come up with 3 types of lists.
I like how we organize this. This is really smart.
Yeah. So in the first instance, you have a corporate wine list. This is a wine list that you will find from a restaurant group that operates several of the same exact type of restaurant or very similar. And so what you'll see on a corporate wine list, there are a lot of recognizable things.
Yes.
There are going to be regions that you've heard of, producers that you've heard of. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. Like they're going to cover the basics. So that's your corporate.
Yeah, and I love because anyone's in business, you look at them and you're like, oh, this company, this is like a VC or PE funded company. It's a big company. They have multiple different restaurants. They can be even high-end restaurants, but they all have the same list. And they've negotiated contracts with another large company, this time a distributor. And they've done this national deal. There's a lot of money. People are talking about the MOIC, and they're all,
Research has been done. Money has been spent.
Exactly.
It covers a lot of the things that you want in a good list.
Exactly. No, and they're fine. They're great. It's just very interesting. It's a different way of thinking about things. But yes, it is very much. You see a lot of those high end and low end.
And then we have the beverage manager created wine list. And this is the space between a corporate generated list and then what we're going to get to next, which is this bespoke som driven restaurant list. But in between, you have somebody who looks at the restaurant as a whole, and wine is a component of that list. But it maybe is not the whole raison d'etre for that manager to be there and putting together this list. Now, what's interesting about this type of list is you will often find some things that are a bit incongruous where there's opportunity to try something for a price that's maybe a little lower than it should be.
Yeah. And because you think about this list, so this is the restaurant. This is actually most restaurants. Most restaurants don't have a sommelier. Maybe they're really into cocktails. They have this big beautiful cocktail list. But this is the wine list that, the beverage manager who's running everything this is just a part of their job. And maybe they don't even want this. They're a little resentful of having to put a wine list together. And they are already overworked. As a beverage manager, you wake up every morning and think about shrinkage in all the different ways. You wake up, shrinkage. And because this is your main thing. This is where you lose money, is actually with theft and trying to keep those margins tight. And by the way, in restaurants, when I was a chef, you're always talking about margins. Constantly, every week. And this is what a well-done restaurant does, is they are thinking about margin because that way they survive. And you can do the fun things if you do the business right. Always. You can do the fun things if you do the business right, and that is margin. Now, here's the thing, though, with that list. This is where it's very likely that the beverage manager says, hey, to one of his distributors, look, I will give you a big chunk of my wine list if you not only teach my people, but you also just write the list for me. See, because this, right? So like, hey, look, put other people's on, just a few, but give yourself the lion's share. Because wine reps, the one thing I didn't mention earlier, the reason why wine reps really want to have their wines on lists is because they're paid a margin. They're paid a percentage. Like they have usually a small salary, but they're paid in commission. So if you have a lot of wines on a list and they sell well, guess what? You're making bank. Like this is a good six-figure salary at this stage. So yeah, and then finally,
And then you have the Somm-driven wine list.
Yes.
And this is a passion project.
yes,
This is going to typically be rather small, change frequently,
yes,
highly curated. You can expect that if you have a question about any of these wines, you will get the entire provenance and history and experience that the Somm has had with these wines. So
Yeah.
those are kind of our three types. So we touched on this a little bit, but would you take us through? You walk into a restaurant, you encounter each type. What's the best way through?
Oh, this is good. So like, now she's now like just thinking about these three as lists. So your corporate list, like everything has been finely tuned. Like your price, like there's no good deal, but nothing's overpriced either. You're getting what you're getting. And if you don't want to have to think, that's fine, right? You just look, you point, that's it. What price point are you happy with? What kind of wine? Order it, you're fine. Now, is it going to be the best? No. It's going to be just like the food in that restaurant. It's not going to be the best you've ever had, but it's going to be good. So there, tightly controlled. Now, that beverage manager list, that is the crapshoot. That is the thing that, okay, you can walk in and there will be like 5 Napa cabs because, maybe the owner likes Napa cabs and it's going to be hit or miss. It's not going to make any sense really. It's going to be a grab bag. But oftentimes the price points are going to be weird because they really didn't drill down. So you're going to find some wines that are going to be super well priced. And so, yeah, they can be messy and chaotic. And I like that because messy and chaotic, if you're a deal seeker, you can find those. But those are the messiest lists. Now, bespoke wine lists. I love that because that's what sommelier lists are. And it may not be a sommelier. It can be, or it can be like one of the owners really into wine or somebody else. This is their passion project. And now this is always a look into that person's head. And that could, as like with anybody, that could be either good or bad. And there are those lists where it's just really pretentious and the person is desperate to be seen as cool. There's 15 pet nats, 22 orange wines. It correlates to their ego and the desire to be cool in wine and not actually to the food or to the client. So you can look into it. You see they're telling a story. And if you follow the story they're telling, what you don't end up getting is that you don't get that generic thing that they put in there because they know some of their customers have to have a Chardonnay, and therefore there's a decent Chardonnay on the list. Follow them and also talk to them because those are the people also that you can talk to. It's an invitation to explore. And, well, it's going to be harder to know if you're getting a good deal or not, but you are going to find something that should delight you. And those are the lists for that. They're for pure delight. Beverage manager lists are if they get a good deal. Corporate is just not to think at all. But yes, that's how I think about these lists.
Okay. I was thinking that probably listeners, if they were to work in the wine industry,
Oh, yeah.
what are some traits for working in these positions?
What would I recommend people do in the wine trade? Now that you know about Somms, now you've actually been introduced to this idea of a wine rep. These actually two are great jobs. Now, as a Somm or beverage manager, you are getting a lot of bennies. So being a Somm, nights and weekends, that's the thing. But you get so many bennies. Like you are always going to be given free wine. You're always going to be offered trips. Like this is great. Like that gray zone is a lot of fun when you're a Somm. A lot of fun. Now, a wine rep though, yeah, you are going to have to get once in a while, like do some, deliver some wine at like 7:00 at night, something like that. But for the most part, it's actually 9 to 5 and healthcare. And if you're good, you get paid very well. Like I actually think I want people to work as a Somm, but then I also want them if they really are good at sales, I really want them to work as a wine rep because a wine rep actually has far more legs and there's a ladder, especially if you are accustomed to corporate America. There's a corporate ladder A lot of our instructors end up being wine reps because they actually have better jobs and they can work nights when we teach.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah.
That I think is really helpful for people.
So, folks, now, if you like this, like and subscribe. But also, if you are interested in the wine trade, get your certification. Get your sommelier certification. The National Wine School is the only independent, U.S. owned and developed program for sommeliers. Go for it. That's wineschool.us. And however, if you're in Philly,
Please come and visit us at the Wine School of Philadelphia, where you will find Keith and myself teaching full time. If you enjoyed this episode, do check us out on our YouTube channel, Wine School USA.
woohoo!